Hi everybody, thanks for joining me. My name's Renee and I'm filming inside. I would love to take this outside. I think it was sprinkling and it might be stopping, so we'll see if I can take this outside. I went to a local bookstore that I've been meaning to get to for a very long time, and I finally made it there. It's the White Whale Bookstore, and I'm going to insert some B-roll. I took some clips in the bookstore. It's very small, but they pack it all in, and the way they have the books sectioned in different sections are so cool. And it's one of those bookstores that employees have written little notes about all kinds of many books, and I could have just browsed forever, and I did browse for a long time. And then the other half of the bookstore is still more books, but also a really cute coffee bar. And I got an iced coffee while I was there. It was so small in there, and it was a Saturday or Sunday, and it was really busy. So I felt a little conscious filming. So you'll see that the clips are very short. So here we go. Hi there. I am finally going to White Whale Bookstore in Pittsburgh. It's in the Bloomfield neighborhood. I have been meaning to go. I finally had an opportunity to do that today, and I'll take you with me. Here we go. You'll see in that clip that I focused in on Catherine Lacey's Mobius book. I actually didn't buy anything. Number one, it was crowded, and there were like 3 or 4 things, including that book, that I could have bought, but I just couldn't make a decision, and I didn't fall in love enough with any single book to buy it. I did buy a birthday card, a really cute birthday card. It's one of those bookstores that also has ephemera, I guess that's called. And it was my daughter's birthday. And so I was able to get her a unique card that I knew she would like, a funky, unusual, like a hand-drawn card. And then I got the iced coffee. But I have on hold the Catherine Lacey's Mobius book at the library. So I didn't go outside because it started spitting rain again. So here I am. And I am going to talk about what I'm reading now, and then I'll talk about what I have from the library. So, all right, I think I'm just going to briefly mention the fact that I am slowly, wonderfully reading my way through, continuing to read my way through Phineas Redux, which is the Anthony Trollope series. What's this called? The Palliser series? And this is one of the books. We've already met Phineas. There is a Phineas Finn book. And so we already know him. He's a politician. And we're now joining him after he's gone back to Ireland. He got married to the local girl. And things are happening now to Phineas. Like, serious life matters are happening. And he has found himself back in the political world in England, which he never thought he would. And other things happen that are crazy in this book. So like I'm really into this. Um, it's much more like gripping and just full of like grit and challenge. And you see the characters that you already know coming up in this book, just like Trollope is like a master at doing. So that's cool. And I don't know if I mentioned, I know I might have mentioned this on Instagram, so I'm getting a little confused. I don't post that often on Instagram, but I do think I posted that I had started East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I was watching one of Gretchen's YouTube videos recently. I think she was doing like a monthly recap. This is Gretchen from Made You Book, a fellow Pittsburgher, and she talked about her experience of this book. I'm not a John Steinbeck fan. I never thought that I would read a John Steinbeck after I read Of Mice and Men. I'm not a like saga epic going on a trek kind of reader. And this is not really that. This is more family saga, but even that doesn't get me. I don't find myself attracted to that time in history in America. I don't know. It's goofy, but it's true. But the way she described the writing in this book, I had to check it out. This is a copy that I got from World of Books. It was supposed to be in very good condition, and it's not. Pages are yellow. Did I already talk about this? Anyway, I did complain to them about the fact that I bought from them before, and this is not very good condition. I'm just going to read some of the back because this is so challenging to describe. In his journal, Steinbeck called East of Eden the first book, and indeed it has the primordial power and simplicity of myth, set in the rich farmland of California's Salinas Valley, although that's not where it starts, really. This sprawling and often brutal novel follows the intertwined destinies of two families, the Trasks and the Hamiltons. What's so cool is that you'll be reading along, and one of the chapters or somewhere in it, the book will remind you that this story is being told first person. For instance, chapter 24. I have wondered why it is that some people are less affected and torn by the verities of life and death than others. I think perhaps Liza accepted the world as she accepted the Bible, so on and so on. So then you're reminded, but just every once in a while, that this story is being told by someone. And then I have to go back and remind myself who it is, because it's the child, the grown child of someone telling back a story. It's so interesting. It really is. And the quality of the sentences on a sentence level, let alone paragraph, chapter level, is amazing. And probably one of my favorite chapters is the one where Samuel goes to visit Adam. And I'm going to just apologize in advance if I have names mixed up. Adam's wife has left. Adam has twins. I don't think that's at all a spoiler. But that chapter is him going to visit Adam. His wife has said, like, yes, you do need to go visit him because he has not named his boys and he needs to name those boys. And it's such a beautiful chapter. It's the way that Samuel goes from arriving at the farm. Adam is in despair, not going to go into why. And he goes from that to being able to sit down with Adam, to explaining the importance of naming the boys. And he tells the story of Cain and Abel, but it just doesn't end there. It's one of the finest chapters I've ever read. And I wondered, is this like a pinnacle chapter. Like, is this like a famous chapter in this book? I don't know, because I'm not going to read the introduction until I'm done. Introduction by David Wyatt, winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. I am on, just for reference for everyone, chapter 24, 293 pages in. It's like 500 and some pages. And I am so glad I'm here. I am so glad I'm here. I am going in between reading this and Phineas Finn at night. So it's been a slow read. But then I heard about another book. I had to pick it up from the library from my friends, Trevor and Paul, from the Mooks and Gripes podcast. If you are not listening to that book podcast, you really need to. It is so well created. That's not the word. It's so well curated. The subjects that they come up with for their episodes, they're so reliable. They are so wide. Their reading is so widespread. I'm always adding to my list when I listen to an episode, and I've been listening to them for years. They have introduced me to new publishers. And in this case, and this is not the only case, oh, and they have wonderful guests every once in a while, and they're superb. Elizabeth Bowen. I read Death of the Heart last summer, and I loved it. Is that what it is? Am I remembering it right? I just want to make sure. Yeah, Death of the Heart. I was going to reread that this summer, and then they just recently, in a recent episode, I think, they mentioned this book, which is Elizabeth Bowen's The House in Paris, and they said that one of them, had heard about this book from a Shiny New Book podcast. If I have the name of that wrong, I'll put it here, but A Shiny New Book. It has 3 hosts. I don't listen to it all the time. It's like they talk about a specific book per episode. They'd been talking about this. I then went and listened to that episode, just enough. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I knew when they were talking about this book that it took the writing that I experienced in The Death of the Heart and just dialed it in. And I can't even explain it, except it's unusual writing for its time. Also, the intro is by A.S. Byatt. I read Possession this year and loved it. I've only read a little bit of the introduction because this is a book in 3 parts. And I knew the second part is a look back, like way back. And they were talking about that in the podcast. And I went to the introduction just far enough so I could start to get a flavor of what the intention is of that second part, because it's complex and very interesting. Yes, it's a look back, but the part of this woman's life that she takes you back to, that's a very distinct choice. And the reader has to do some work, and it's so yummy for that reason. I'm like, I can't wait to let part 2 unfold and be as mesmerized and a little confused as the hosts were in that podcast. All right, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a sense. I'm going to paraphrase, pick and choose. When 11-year-old Henrietta arrives at the Fishers' well-appointed house in Paris, she's prepared to spend her day between trains, looked after by an old friend of her grandma's. Henrietta longs to see a few sights in Paris. For Henrietta finds that her visit coincides with that of this little boy named Leopold, an intense child who has come to Paris to be introduced to the mother he has never known. In the course of a single day, the relations among Leopold, Henrietta's agitated hostess Naomi, Leopold's mysterious mother, his dead father, the dying matriarch in the bed upstairs come to light. It's Elizabeth Bowen's most artful and psychologically acute novels. I would agree so far. I can't wait to know more about this book and to try and share with you the sense of it without giving it away. I think I would recommend starting with The Death of the Heart. It is unusual. Let me see when these books were written. Sorry, I was going to do that. 1935. So for this writing to be at this level, it's not a love story. It's not just a little family story. The Death of the Heart isn't straightforward either. It's very nuanced. It's very, it has a style. There's a stylistic choice that she's making. And I would say this is what she has in common with A.S. Byatt. So, unbelievable. All right, so those are the things that I am enjoying this summer so far. I am not in a hurry to get through any of those books because I'm just like so enjoying where I'm at. However, the library holds keep coming because I keep making them, and then they come in and sometimes I get to them and sometimes I don't. So let me share. This was also, Gretchen knocked it out of the park because this was also a Gretchen recommendation. Might have been in that same video. Alice or Elise at the Fire, Jan Fosse. I have wanted to read Jan Fosse. This is another author that the Mooks and the Gripes podcast talk about. They might have done a whole episode on Jan Fosse and had a guest. I don't know whether I'm going to get to this, but it's so short and I don't even want to talk about it until I get to it. It's like 100 pages. So maybe more on that later. What else? I don't know why I got The Road to the City by Natalia Ginsburg out. Who was reading this? An almost unbearably intimate novella, The Road to the City concentrates on a young woman feeling her way through life. Restless in her family home and in her village, she's drawn to the city, Ginsburg's very first work. I feel like I've read this, but I don't know. It has a blurb by Rachel Cusk. And let me just remind myself. Translated from the Italian by Jeannie Al-Hadef. New Directions. All right, let's see what else. Oh yeah, I have no idea why. The Stalker by Paula Bomer. Paula Bomer is the author of the novels Tanta Eva and 9 Months and the story collections Inside Madeline and Baby and Other Stories. She is, I think, from LA. Robert Dalton Saville, aka Doughty, is the son of a once wealthy, now hard-up family from Darien, Connecticut. Doughty lives in a perpetual cloud of delusion, convinced of his own genius and status. While he has little capacity to accurately assess his own abilities or prospects, he cruises through life on the sheer force of his own sense of entitlement, dropping out of college and landing in the early 90s in New York City. He cons his way from a bed at the YMCA into the posh Soho loft of a middle-aged book editor while pursuing a young bartender. I don't know where I heard about this, but I don't know if I'll get to it. I'm certainly going to dip in, though, while I have it out from the library. And then, who just... Oh, it was, you will be adding to your TBR as you follow her account. She reads widely, and I'm always finding things from her posts. The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. She's from the East Coast. She attended James Madison University. This is her, could this be her first book? Her first novel? What a lovely novel. I fell in love with the elegant, stubborn Sybil, such a wonderful character. Sybil Van Antwerp has throughout her life used letters to make sense of the world and her place in it. Most mornings around 10:30, Sybil sits down to write letters to her brother, her best friend, presidents of the university who will not allow her to audit a class, to Joan Didion and Larry McMurtry to tell them what she thinks of their latest books. A mother, grandmother, wife, divorcee, distinguished lawyer, she has lived a very full life. But when letters from someone in her past force her to examine one of the most painful periods of her life, she realizes that the letter she has been writing over the years needs to be read, and that she can't move forward until she finds it in her heart to offer forgiveness. I'm definitely going to dip into this one. I don't know how I'm going to fit this in, but I want to try just dipping into it, reading the first few pages, getting a sense. Yeah. Well, Took's here with us. Hey, Took, what do you think? You like the warmth of my iPad, I think, huh? Yeah. Right out the window, to the left of me is our front porch, stoop, whatever. And the light on the house, that is like the light you turn on at night, that's not the lamppost one, there is a robin who has already built a nest earlier and had 2 babies that fledged and just built another nest. And we see her. She's usually up in the tree branch, and then she comes down. She's coming down to the nest. She built the nest, left it alone for a little bit. Now she's in the nest like off and on, but it doesn't seem like she's sitting on eggs yet. So we'll see. I thought for a minute that she had abandoned the nest, but let me see if she's on the nest now. Yep, she's sitting there. So we're gonna see. We also had robins in the oak tree out in the back, and a robin who built a nest, and she had 2 eggs. One of them fell and broke, but she did have 1 baby that fledged a couple weeks ago. I started going on Audubon Society walks on the weekend. They offer a free walk at, there's like 3 sites around me, and one of them has walks on Sunday morning for free, and they give you the binoculars. They teach you how to use binoculars. They teach you how to find a bird by sight, and then bring the binoculars up to where the bird is that you're looking at, all that stuff. So I've been on walks 3 times. I'm totally into it. I have Merlin downloaded on my phone. Any of you who listen to birds, love birds, watch birds, you know what Merlin is. You press on it and it listens for birds in your backyard, anywhere, but daily in your yard or when you're on a walk. And you have loaded what your location is, like your zip code or whatever. It's a free app, and it brings up, as it hears the bird song, it brings up the birds that you're listening to. And it's so fascinating. My mom is doing it now. I have turned it on last weekend when I went running in the park near us. After I was done with the run, since I use an Apple Watch when I'm running, I went back to the car, and as I was cooling down, I pressed on Merlin to see what was around. I knew there were geese because they were right in front of me because there's a lake there, but like there were a couple other birds that aren't here, even though that's 15 minutes away. So I'm going to use it everywhere. And we've joined the Audubon Society, and I am going to other Audubon Society sites. They do these walks year round. Please let me know if you have gotten to any of these books that I've been talking about. This one I already know is really great, but let me know what your experience is. And then The Stalker and The Correspondent. I would love to know if you are an Elizabeth Bowen fan. Share with all of us what your favorite Elizabeth Bowen is. Please join in the conversation below. Let me know what you're up to. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again. Bye.